Hi there, my name is Sandy Allnock. I'm an artist here on YouTube and I'm visiting with Ellen Hudson to show you the mini action wobbles and cows because this stamp set from Art Impressions is hilarious and it is one of their clear sets. They're not all clear sets, but this is one of the clears. It has the main image and then the wobble portion that is the bottom end of the cow. It's got a die that's got a few parts in it that you'll see, a couple sentiments, and a mini action wobble. You may have seen the large ones, but we're going to talk about the small ones today. I've got it stamped onto some Neenah cardstock that is the Environment Desert Storm. And it's going to be kind of fun to see how this comes together on the Desert Storm. Your Copic markers are going to be a little bit different color. They're going to be a little duller because you're coloring on a color that has a base of another shade underneath of it. So you need to choose brighter colors than you normally might. If you have a Copic chart of any sort, I would recommend printing one out onto Neenah on the Desert Storm so that you can have an alternate chart and be able to choose your colors. So my colors are listed in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm just going to color them all in on these cows. It's a really complex image, and I thought while I'm coloring this, I'll talk a little bit about how I approach an image like this. I colored it a few times, and then I would realize, oh, that was a foot. Oh, that was this. This is part of that cow. It can be really hard to tell the difference between all these sections. You can look at the packaging, because it definitely has some guidance. I wasn't looking at it, because that's how I messed up. But what I'm doing is coloring the parts that I know. So I started with the hats and the collars and the bells, those sort of things. Went around to all the parts that I knew were going to be pink. So I have two different pinks I'm using. So I did all of the udders and the noses. And now I'm going to run through and do all of the feet. And this is just one way to tackle one of those complex images to try to follow along with all the parts. So I looked at each cow and said, okay, there should be 4 feet here. Or are some of the feet hidden behind the image? So I'll just color them all in, so at least I have a start on that. There's one more little foot sticking out there. And now I decided I was going to make my cows all different kinds of cows. You could make them all the same, but that's going to make the whole image sort of blend together. You're not going to be able to tell the difference between one and another. So if you're going to do all brown cows, then maybe do a light brown cow in the front and 2 dark behind the light one. What I'm going to do is a black and white cow in the front. And I'm drawing my own spots into it. You could make them any old way that you want. You can make it a mostly white cow with black spots, mostly black cow with white spots, whatever you want. You can Google one and see if you can find a pattern that you like on your particular cow. But I'm coloring them in with a C4 because I wasn't ready to fully commit, if you know what I mean. It's sometimes hard to just go, I'm just going to jump in and do it and be brave. Well, I'm being brave with a mid-tone gray. I'm not being brave with the full darks that I'm going to use because I just wanted to sort of work my way around and see where the spots are going to look the best and leave the tummy white, that sort of thing, and just put those spots in. And since he's going to be a black and white cow, he's going to stand out from the cows behind him. I'll use different colors when I get to them. So now I'm diving in with my C8 and creating some dark spots, and I'll do some blending with some lighter color as well. But with the spots, don't stress out over it too much. There's no right or wrong to it. I'm trying to put enough of the dark color behind the tail so the tail does look like it sticks out. But remember, this is going to have an action wobble on it where that back section with the tail is going to be popped up on the action wobble so it'll wiggle. And the coloring here is actually practice for that. I'm working out what my colors or my shapes might look like so that when I get to coloring that section on that little part that I'm going to die cut, then I'll have a better idea of what's going to look right. So I'm just picking a few spots to add that nice dark color to. And then I'll switch over to a mid-tone. And I guess some people might consider that C4 mid-tone. So this is the C6, a little bit darker, so that I can get a little softer blending. And with black spots, they could just be one dark color. They don't have to have multiple colors, but I like to do things more challenging than I should sometimes. Could have been easier. I did do recently over on my own channel a bunch of cows for Christmas tags. So if you want to go see that, I will put a link in the description down below to that. It's another Art Impressions cow image if you're a cow fanatic, and I colored them all with just one marker. So you're welcome to check that out as well. I did put some C0 down here. I was trying to give myself a little bit of blending in the light areas. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with those lights, the white tummy and the white spots and things. So for now, I just left them with that. You can see that the color eventually does lighten up, even though that was C0. It did lighten up considerably once it dried. So a lot of that moisture is going to discolor the paper while it's wet, because basically it's wet. So I'm going to put a mostly solid black cow behind my spotted white and black cow, so that the one in the front will pop against the one behind it. So I'm going to leave him just with this. I actually decided to start with the C6 since I knew I was going to basically cover up all that C4 I had started with the other one. Just give him a full-on dark color. I was looking at the picture trying to figure out what that little section is there in that corner behind that ear. This is one of those places where you just need to sort of think through, is that a cow tail? Is that, you know, so I decided this one tail is belonging to one of the cows. That other piece behind the ear must belong to the other cow on the right-hand side. So now I'll add some of my darker gray and blend some of that out and start moving the color around. And again, you could have used a dark brown cow back here. I just want to have enough color that it makes the one in the front appear in the front. I'm noticing though, as I'm doing this, that it's not really separating all that much. It's separating some. And we'll see how it goes after we finish the other cow and see if the one in the front looks like he's in the front of the other guys, or am I still just visually very confusing? So now I decided to go for a brown cow, which might have been a better option for the other cow. You can be the decider of that later on. So I'm just going to fill him in with one of the browns that I chose. And cows can also be any kind of colors. You could do these in party colors, all different kinds of stuff, since it is a birthday card with "Holy cow, you're how old" as one of the sentiments. We do have some pretty funny sentiments in this set. So I'll get it all colored in, and then I'm going to add some shading to it as well, just with a little bit of an E99. There's no reason why I chose an E99. It was just happened to be the marker that my hand landed on, and it's darker than the lighter brown that I used. You can use a lot of different colors interchangeably with each other. There's no actual rules that you have to use color X to shade with color Y. Over on my blog, there is also a Copic suggestions chart for all of the colors that you might be interested in trying for some blending. So you're welcome to go check that out. There's also a link in the description for that one as well. So I'm going back in with my lighter E33 and just doing a little bit of soft blending to try to make that cow disappear to the back. Now the one in the front wasn't really popping. However, since I did this on the Desert Storm cardstock, I have the option of adding some white pencil. It's just a Prismacolor pencil. You can use any white pencil that you've got. You could use a white pen. You could use like a Signo pen, but you're going to end up with some lines in it because it doesn't tend to go on in large areas the way that a pencil would. This has also given me the ability to soften some of the edges of those spots. And now he's really starting to pop out from the other guys. And that made me a whole lot happier with this. So I'm going to zoom through the same coloring now on the back end of that cow. This is the other stamp that comes with it. And there is a die that fits it exactly. And I'm just generally following along what I had done on the part that's going to be underneath that I already colored. You certainly don't have to color it the same, but since I worked out the spots, I figured I'd follow that along. I'm going to color the little milk jug. I could have stamped it and masked it, but what I decided to do was to cut it out and then pop it on there. There's also this little moo that you can see I die cut into it, and then I reset the dies in there so that I have two moos in the background. And here we go with the Action Wobbles. The one on the right is the normal sized, and then this is the mini. The way I figure out which one is the front end, which one is the back end, is by holding one side of it and then watching how the other side jiggles to decide which end attaches to the paper that's going to wiggle around and which end attaches to the card itself. And then you just peel off the backings and stick it on. Now those Those little moos, by the way, that I have in the upper left-hand corner, this is such a complex card that I decided I was going to have them just be inset in the one color. I decided not to add more to it and let them just be subtle moos in the background. You could also, pop those out, color them, and re-inset them into the card. But I love how it came out. I hope you do too. It was really an enjoyable card to make, lots of fun with action wobbles, so you can make that little cow butt jiggle around for your recipient who receives this card. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.